the USA in your Chevrolet. America's asking you to call. Drive your Chevrolet.
Back in 2016, my daughter Mihaila decided that she wanted our father-daughter project to be a early model Corvair convertible. A friend of mine in the local Corvair club had one that had been sitting in his garage for many years, and he and I struck a deal. So soon after, Mihaila and I went over in my truck with a tow bar and drug the car out of John's garage, inflated the tires, which surprisingly all held air, hooked the tow bar up to the front bumper, and drug the car home. Once we got it home, we gave it a very thorough bath, being careful not to get the inside wet because, as you can see, there was no back window. And then we began to take stock of what we had and what we were missing, created a plan for how we were going to go forth with getting this car back on the road. We turned our attention to the interior and took stock of how 20 years of sitting in a garage had done its toll on the vinyl, and fortunately met with seats that seemed pretty complete. And we also wiped down and took some photos of other portions of the interior, like the dash. There were some loose interior pieces that we gathered, and from that we then sat down and created a list of the items that were missing, that we figured we'd either have to buy used from the Corvair ranch or new from one of the new vendors such as Clark's Corvair Parts. Potentially the biggest expense and time consumer in getting roadworthy would be the engine. So that's where we went to next. We thoroughly cleaned all around the engine, which included removing the top cover sheet metal so that we could make sure there were no mice nests down around the fins of the cylinders. Then we put some Marvell Mystery oil in all 6 of the cylinders to lubricate the walls, and that was followed by priming the oil system, and we did that by using a shaft that I had specially made that would fit into the input side of the oil pump, and we drove that with a drill until we started seeing oil at the rocker arms. So with all that complete, the next thing we chose to do was hook up a battery and do a compression check. And as you can see in the photo here, we did have one cylinder that was low. All the other ones were up, and I don't remember exactly where, but I think they were in the 110s, 120s, something like that. So we decided at that point just to continue on, that we'll see how it runs on 5 cylinders, and also hopefully running might cause a valve to bed itself back in and start sealing, or maybe a ring to potentially come back and do its job as well. As you can see in the photos here, when we got the engine, it was missing its carburetors. Unfortunately, I had a couple on the shelf left over from previous restorations of cars with my daughters. And so Mihaila and I cleaned them up, rebuilt them with kits that we had bought, and installed them. And that was the last step in getting the engine ready to run. So with some gas in the carburetor bowls, we actually were able to fire up the engine and get it to run and idle and rev, all sitting in the driveway without moving, of course. And here we have the passenger side carburetor installed with a earlier version of the air cleaner system. Mihaila preferred the individual smaller filter cleaners to the single larger one that resides on the top. with the car's ability to go dealt with, we turned our attention to the car's ability to whoa. And that meant overhaul of the brake system as much as we needed to. What I like to do with these early models is adapt the dual master cylinder for a little more safety. And you'll see it installed here. Clark's has kits to do this, and it makes it really easy. With the master cylinder in place, we went down and looked at each of the wheel cylinders, ended up rebuilding them with kits, and cleaning up all the other hardware and installing new brake shoes. And here's Mihaila hard at work on one of the brake areas. We do it so that each of the girls whose project it is will be the one turning the wrenches, and Dad is just there to facilitate giving direction and helping with the operations that require a little more muscle. The one exterior item we needed to address was the lack of a back window. When we got the car, the clear plastic was just beyond repair. So I contacted Jeff at the Corvair Ranch, and he actually had just a rear window section available for an early model. So I bought it off him, and then Mihaila and I proceeded with installing it in the place where it goes.
See the USA in your Chevrolet. America's asking you to call.
All right, go.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
You're going down Linen's Way.
Going 30!
Drive your Chevrolet through the USA. America's the greatest land of all. On a highway or a road along a levee. Performance is sweeter, nothing can beat her. Life is completer in a Chevy.